The story, Hidden Motive, has been inspired and written based on the short story from Tim Winton, On Her Knees, from the larger anthology The Turning, for the current unit that is being studied, Reading to Write. The story aims to explore the class divide that is experienced between a woman, Carol, and her employer, whilst exploring both her and her son's emotional reactions to different events that occur within their particular environments. Within my story, Carol is a twist on the classic views of the Australian battler and the resilient woman. The story goes through hardships of her losing her husband, being broke, and an explosive argument with her son, making effort to explore the tropes of the resilient woman, pride, and the social class divide that runs alongside this story as an integral part of the plot. Winton's story, On Her Knees, had messages of the Australian battler and a strong message of social class and social divides embedded within it, and the struggles of those that work for and with those in higher classes, personified by Carol and Victor, respectively, and how their contempt for those in higher classes within them. Within my appropriation of this story, I aim to explore the contempt felt from Carol's perspective more than from Victor's. I also attempt to explore the deeper impacts of how working for the higher classes affects Carol's wider views and appreciation of the world, and her increasing cynicism as she is working for someone she knows is firing her soon. In the end of the main story, the core themes that stand out from the rest include Victor's new infatuation with pride and upkeeping his name, much like his mother. He depicts a broken family unit in which the female is left to fulfill the traditionally masculine role of providing economically for the family. In a quote, "I was 16 when the old man shot through. My mother cleaned houses to pay off his debts and kept us afloat." He uses this in order for others to be able to feel the isolation that Carol is forced into by providing for her family without a strong or reliable male figure to be able to assist her, leading to her vulnerability as well. Shown in the following example. What kind of person accuses you of thieving, gives you the sack, and then asks you back for 1 week while she looks for somebody to replace you? This also relates to the story Chosen Vessel, in showing how women who are left alone are forced to struggle and carry on despite the fact that they have children by their side that they must care for, regardless of what situations they are placed into. They will take care of and put their child's life above their own, as is seen within On Her Knees as Carol constantly aims to make Victor's life better, and within Chosen Vessel, where the mother runs after the horseman to try and save her child's life, ultimately losing her life in the end. Within my story, I aimed at looking away from the traditional family roles and moving towards a single parent-child relationship. I made Victor seem overbearing in his mannerisms to emphasize the fact that he has a deep connection to his mother that he places a larger effort in due to his father shooting through. The mother's thoughts on what needs to be done are suffocating her due to the fact that her pride is placed above all else and the fact that she has the need to place her son, Victor, into a better situation. I also placed a small focus on the negative features on the resilient woman, the unwillingness to change, whereas Tim Winton places a much larger focus on this, constant rejection from Carol towards Victor. I place a larger focus on the trope of the resilient woman. I specifically focus on the ability to shrug off potential catastrophes, whereas Tim Winton considers the deeper effects on the psyche of these catastrophes. This ultimately has a more profound effect on the reader, whereas I aim to create a deeper connection with Carol and to make a reason for her motives. Using Winton's style of writing as inspiration, I was better able to develop these characters into a world that would have spun very differently if I had been using my own style. Tim Winton uses the lack of speech marks and non-traditional punctuation to create a profound effect on the reader. This forms a setting of realism within the narrative that you would not see in a traditional narrative, and it further reflects what would happen in the real world, This is a stark contrast to my style of writing, which mainly focuses on the fantastical events and fantasy writing. This can be seen further within the flashback that is within the story. I use the flashback to be able to further develop and to accentuate my style of writing. However, once out of the flashback, I try to stick as closely as possible to my inspiration of writing, Tim Winton's style. Due to there being less speech marks, the characters, in my opinion, feel a lot more confused by their own thoughts. I feel this was a limitation for me, personally, to write. However, the effect on the reader can mean that there is also a slightly closer connection to the characters, making parts of the story jut out more than others, such as the messages about class divide, pride, and even the deeper political messages that are embedded within the story. This has been my reflection on my story, Hidden Motives, inspired by Tim Winton's story,